applying for new apartments.
A Los Angeles judge has dismissed a countersuit filed against L.A. County from the former CEO of the now closed Tin Horn Flats Saloon and Grill in Burbank. Barrett Lepigian claimed the outdoor dining ban that was put in place in late 2020 was unlawful under the federal and state constitutions. A judge yesterday ruled the county did not infringe on the restaurant's constitutional rights. L.A. County filed a public nuisance suit in January of 2021. It wanted Tin Horn Flats to comply with the health orders and to allow inspectors to enter the restaurant. The restaurant was later forced to close.
It is a very emotional experience for many people across the pond this morning.
British people are talking about how emotional it is to view the coffin of Queen Elizabeth II, who is lying in state following her death a week ago. KTLA's Lauren Lister in London for us with some of their stories. Lauren, good morning. There you are.
Good morning, Frank and Jess. Yeah, just as we're learning new details about the Queen's funeral, we're getting that emotional reaction. People so moved after personally seeing her coffin lying in state at Westminster Hall behind me. And they are dedicated in even getting to that point. Let's take a look at the lines, because we're told at this hour the line stretches 4 miles and the estimated wait time that they're telling people is 9 hours. But those that we spoke to that did line up, they said it was worth it. They wouldn't miss it. Some telling me they have a sense of duty to be here. Some telling me that one man, for example, served in the armed forces and said that that was his commander-in-chief. He just simply had to be here. They didn't care how long they had to wait. And here is what they were waiting for. Let me show you some of the images from inside Westminster Hall. That's where the Queen's coffin sits atop a platform called a catafalque. It's draped in the Royal Standard flag, also adorned with the Imperial State Crown. Guards standing watch, and this is a 24-hour-a-day operation, and people solemnly passing through, some bowing their heads, some curtsying, some saluting, and some just crying, just visibly feeling the emotion of what one woman described as a collective loss that you can feel in that hall. Here's a little more reaction from someone we spoke to just as they were coming out.
It was very touching inside, very emotional, and just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I'm very lucky to get in there and see Her Majesty, and I've met her 4 times. I've shook her hands 4 times, and she presented me personally with this medal. So we're a military family, so it's very important. She was our Commander-in-Chief.
And of course, this procession yesterday, it was such a ceremonial and regal tribute, and the image of King Charles III and his sons just behind him, Princes William and Harry, that's gaining a lot of attention today. This was the first time that they were publicly seen all together since the Queen's death a week ago. And take a look at this. Some are comparing it to images from 25 years ago. We can bring those up for you. Images after Princess Diana died, and we saw those same people, those same members of the royal family mourning and grieving publicly then. Back out here live, funeral details for Westminster Abbey. We've learned a few more. So 2,000 people have been invited, 500 dignitaries, and we know they were asked to respond by today. But we've learned we won't get a confirmed guest list, so we know certain people like President Biden have confirmed he will attend. Also, the United Kingdom will hold a collective 2-minute moment of silence at the funeral's end. For now, that's the latest live here in London. And Frank and Jess, I have to tell you, so many interesting, moving, touching stories coming from the people that I'm speaking to. I hope I can bring you a lot more throughout the next couple of hours. And Jess, you mentioned also that looks like a nice day, and the weather really has been holding up in London. It's been beautiful, and people are just, really on the streets, just expressing how moved they are by getting to personally say goodbye to the monarch that served the longest ever here, 70 years.
Yeah, we saw.
I'll send it back to you in the studio.
We saw the images. There was one man, he was an older man, and he was wiping his tears, and people very moved. Lauren, have you heard anything about what the funeral service will be like?
So we've gotten some details, but we haven't learned things like the personal touches that the Queen maybe wanted, because we know that she had input in it. We know that there will be a procession from Westminster Hall to Westminster Abbey 15 minutes before the service begins that will be similar to the one that we saw yesterday in terms of who is there and how that all works. As far as the funeral itself, we've learned it will be 1 hour. We know that it will be seen around the world, even though it's a state funeral with 2,000 people physically in attendance. The procession, people are already lining up for it. According to one report, there's a woman from Canada who already staked out her spot to just watch that aspect of it all. And we also know that afterwards, the Queen's coffin will be moved to Windsor Castle. She's going to be buried there in the royal vault next to her late husband, and we know that there's going to be additional services there for her. So we are getting more details, and there are still more to come. It is Sunday that we're going to get the full rundown of how things are going to go. That's the latest live here. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Lauren,
Thanks,
thank
Lauren.
you for that. And we know that the coffin is made of oak, British oak, lined with lead, because it is buried in a church. It's not, they want to obviously limit the decomposition that happens.
Oh, interesting.
Right, and
Okay,
so,
didn't know that. Yeah, interesting stuff. Beautiful weather in London, and over the next couple of days, we should have some really nice weather here, too, in Southern California, and even the possibility of some much-needed rain. I mean, it's not going to be a lot. If we do get it, it'll only be a small little trace of amount of rain, but it's always good to know that it is a possibility in the weather forecast. Temperature right now is 61. It is 1 degree.